Welcome one and all, my name is Tawess and today we are painting a huntsman. Do you know what a huntsman is? Good, because I don't. It's a mech, of course, but... beyond that I actually don't know much about it. And it's not really that important in this case, because it's not the mech that is interesting. No, this is a mech from the Iron Guard. And what is Iron Guard, you might wonder? Well, it's not quite as impressive as it sounds. It is the retirement home unit of Clan Smoke Jaguars, tasked with protecting the home world once the proper warriors were gone to invade in the sphere. Mostly done proud by actually standing up to the counter invasion from the sphere, which also were what they ended up as. Cannon fodder for Task Force Serpent. They did the best they could, and they got completely mushed. But, I mean, for being the lowest of the low, the oldest of the old, the most under-equipped thing there is, that actually took a few points. So I felt like I should probably do something with these guys, because that's interesting. But, you know, beyond that, not much to say about it. Their paint scheme is black base with a yellow paneling, it said, but I felt like, well, I done a lot of paneling lately. A lot of panels. So it's like, maybe, and I mean just maybe, would do something different. Dry brushing. It's been some times I've done some proper dry brushing. It's like, yeah, let's do that. I want to fade from this greenish yellow all the way up to a, perhaps not bright yellow, but brighter yellow at least. So that's what I decided to do. Was it the right thing to do? Maybe not. Will this be a spectacular, shining example of mechitude? No, it won't. And that is the whole point. It's not supposed to be also awesome and mighty and fine. It's supposed to be a bit jank. Because an old man's unit. It is where the mech warriors who, for some godforsaken reason, actually lived to old age went to die. Where they got their Hunchback 2Cs. Have you seen a Hunchback 2C, by the way? It is literally tinfoil over a end of frame and two AC-20s. It's like twice the dangers of a regular Hunchback. I mean, just imagine you're in a sphere unit, you've never seen these things before. Man, you know a Hunchback. Hunchbacks is scary enough. Hunchbacks are sort of things that make an Atlas kind of cautious. You come around a corner and you see a Hunchback, but there's something slightly wrong with it. It has another hump. And then you have, well, your cockpit pierced by 2 rounds of AC-20 ammo instead. Or how many rounds you prefer. I always like the whole naval cannon feel to it. But I know some people don't. Some people more like the Vulcan idea. Or at least the Medusa idea. I prefer the whole idea with that. It's basically lugging around 2 small naval cannons. But yeah, it's a mech designed for the pilot to die. This is a Huntsman. It's slightly better in that regard. It's not designed for a pilot to die. Not outright, at least. But at the same time, it's not exactly all that either. I mean, it's not, that's not fair, actually. That is a bit evil to say. But the Huntsman was initially designed as a sort of there, basically. I mean, it was small. It's a light, not light mech. It's a fairly light mech, 50 tons. It's a solid medium with a surprising amount of weapons. It has 4 ER medium lasers, 1 Ultra AC cannon, 1 LRM-10 with Artemis, 1 Streak SRM-6, 1 Flamer somewhere, 1 Tag somewhere, and an anti-missile system. It is armed to the teeth, but it's also still kinda a bit naff. But yeah, it's an Omni mech still, so I mean, it's still better than anything that the Sphere could produce at this point. It's a bit ammo dependent, if something. I mean, you're soon gonna run into like being stuck with 4 ER medium lasers, but I mean, even with that, you're still doing pretty well. But yeah, not much more to say about that mech actually. It is a good mech, but it's not a great mech. And I picked this because it actually has some canonical representation within the Iron Guard. Now, the reason I'm doing Iron Guard is because the next mech I was thinking about painting, at least when I started this one, is a Ebon from the Alpha Galaxy. You know, the peak of the peaks, the tips of the tops, the baddest of the baddest, the angriest of the angriest. And I felt like a fun contrast to have like this mech, which is like the on the other side of that spectrum. Just have it be there, exist as this sort of counterpoint to what is in essence a very elite unit. But yeah, Guard Jaguar is a nice mech, to this big angry mech. But we're gonna take that next time, or maybe do something in between. I don't know. It all depends. I do have a crossbow sitting somewhere, and that thing is giving me some serious vibes. For what you can see if you actually head over to my Instagram at Tawess, where I post pictures of my mix as they get done, rather than how as the videos get edited. You can see what it actually gives me strong vibes of. You can see that, yeah. Not gonna lie, the video is mostly done actually. I think it's gonna get posted after this one, or we do the Ebon in between. Then we're moving to this varying point again where I'm starting to run out of mechs. I have like 5 mechs left. That is kind of worrying, because once that is out, I'm out of mechs. And right now my supplier does not have that much in stock. And while they did get the pre-orders in for the Alpha Strike box, that is set for December, which is quite a fair bit away, to be honest. So I'm currently hoping that we get some, maybe some blind boxes in. I don't know. Hoping we get some blind boxes in, maybe. That would be a fun video. Maybe we get some of the Force packs. They do have a pre-order for, I think it's Hansen's Rough Riders, which will be a fun one to paint up. Probably has an archer in it. I mean, everything I buy right now has an archer in it, so I don't know. But yeah, if you've been following along and still here watching and haven't just power skipped through, first off, bless your heart in the actual positive way of saying that. I'm impressed. You have listened to this constant ramble for well over 10 minutes. But yeah, right now hitting it with some nice demonic yellow, just to bring the yellows up. Up. And this is the fun part with dry brushing, of course, is that you can take your time. It doesn't have to go fast, you can just relax. Listen to a podcast and just swipe your brush across the model until it starts looking good, because there is no rush. Just take your time. Blend things in. But you know, it is what it is. Now, I was having a problem with this, actually, because the yellow wasn't really doing all that much as I was supposed to be doing. I was expecting a bit more oomph in it. And it did not oomph at all. In the slightest. Which, as I mentioned, was a bit problematic, because we wanted it to be like canary yellow. It never really got to canary yellow. And then sometimes that happens. Shit happens. You can't deal with it. And sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. But yeah. Can't do much about that. So I decided to try and pick out a few panels and stuff with the more yellow, just to get more yellow onto it, because I wanted it to have like at least a few eye-catching really yellow spots. Ironically, this is the second mech I painted is yellow and black, and I might actually consider making a few more of them to make an actual Iron Guard unit, but I need more old broken down mechs and Innisphere mechs for that, and I don't have them in Innisphere mechs to use for this, because that's what that unit is, what that unit usually had. Innisphere mechs captured for research and the last line stuff. You know, it is what it is. So yeah, the idea was to try and pick out a few panels in proper yellow and get them popping a bit. Because that's an idea, you don't need to have everything popping. As long as you have a few things popping, that's enough. In fact, that is probably even better. Because if you just keep popping on things, everything's gonna pop, nothing pops. Might sound backwards, but that is how it is. That is why you often see advertising having one big strong area of interest and then having the rest of things be rather muted. Because they want your eye to go to that thing. The important thing. Be that a person in the image, a bit of text or anything. And same idea here. We make few things pop to just make sure that that in turn draws our eye to the thing we want. This is for example why I don't paint eyes on my regular models. Because I don't need to. Because the face still reads as a face. And not to be like that, but on a 28 to 32 millimeter model, you are not going to be at that close so you see the face that often. Of course, if you're painting for competition, that's a completely different thing, but painting for a tabletop, there is no point in painting eyes. There just isn't. You can just slap some bit of dots if you want there, then just go over it with some wash, and that should do the trick. Same with these mechs. Some people be like, oh, you have to put in all these tiny details. I'm like, no. You can if you want to put in all the details. But if you don't want to put in all the details, be safe in that for most part you're not going to need to be in all the details, because they're just going to fight each other. So yeah, we're basically just going to paint the cockpit now with my regular combo of some bronze, some gold, some copper, just to get a nice shiny surface. This thing has a ginormous cockpit. I also think the sunroof is the sky roof is a part of the cockpit. Might be wrong there. I did not check Steiner's guide before I did that, but you know, I think it is that. So you know, metallic. Again, we're not going to have the argument about gemming versus metallic. I have made my point clear on that one. I do metallic. You're free to do however you like. But as I said, keep the details to a minimum. And try to keep... I mean, there's a reason why we don't paint the model in like 65 different clashing colors. I mean, it would attract the eye, but it would also fight itself. And if that is such a good thing to think about. If you have a model that you're feeling that something is wrong with, but you can't really necessarily put your finger on what is wrong, that might be the thing that is wrong. It might be clashing with itself, paint-wise. So you could just go into color wheel and just find opposite colors, or you can go into color wheel and find paints, load the paints in, see if they're far too close to each other. But that could be a reason why your model is clashing with you. Now in this case it's yellow on black. That is a very safe color choice, because there is no such thing as mucking up with black. Black works everything. You know why black works everything? Because black is everything. I mean, not exactly, it's a gross oversimplification. But black is all the colors, and white is none of the colors. That's why they work with everything, because everything just latches onto those. So it is. Again, horrible oversimplification of the subject, but this is not an essay on color theory. I mean, I'm not sure if you would want a essay on color theory. I could do it if you want to, but I don't think anyone actually wants that. I mean, sitting there listening for me for another 25-30 minutes while I drone on about paints and why you should never lick titanium white or cadmium yellow. If you happen to come across actual real cadmium yellow, be very careful with that, because that is toxic, poisonous. Same with titanium white. It's not healthy. Most colors from back in the day, not healthy. Gorgeous pigments, but mostly lethal. These days, not that good pigments, but also mostly harmless. But yeah, I'm still tempted to get a blue, yellow and red from Chimera to just see how well these single pigment paints do. Anyway, we are wrapping up. The mech is mostly done and you can see what I've done. So, beauty shots, I guess. And until next time, stay safe, be kind, and do play fair. Bye.